Whether you're a desk jockey, an athlete, a stay-at-home mom, you're probably spending a good amount of your day sitting. Most people need to be doing a wall quad or couch stretch or whatever you want to call it. If you don't know what it is, it's the thumbnail, you clicked on it, so yeah, it's that one. We should be doing this stretch regularly. And yet most people are making one or a few of these common mistakes that we're gonna talk about in this video. We're a new channel. If you like the video, please like the video, comment, subscribe. Let's get to it. Before we talk about the mistakes, let's just talk about the best way to get into this stretch. Because I see a lot of people try to just jam themselves up into the deepest position where they can lean back the most. And it's just not a very good way of approaching this stretch. So we're gonna start out on both knees. We're gonna slide the knee all the way back into the crevice between the wall or the couch or whatever you got and the floor. We like this setup because it makes you point your toe, which is actually part of the whole fascial line going from your toes all the way up the front of your body. So we want to elongate that whole thing. And hold on, before we go any further, I want you to have some props available to you. I like yoga blocks, but if you had things that you could change the height of, you're gonna want something that's like low, medium, and high. So anything you got should work. Now, before we bring the leg up, which everyone wants to rush to do, we need to make sure that we understand what the hip and spine position should look like. Our intention throughout this entire stretch is to extend the hip, to open the hip crease to the front. But to do that, we need to make sure that we control the spine position. So we're gonna purposely try to flex the spine as hard as possible the entire time you do this stretch. It's the same position as if you were doing a cat in yoga. So now with both knees on the ground, you're gonna round your back and drive your hips forward and down towards the ground. And if you need more room, you can slide that front knee forward to get deeper in the stretch. Now, if you can't configure your body to get a stretch in this position, then you're definitely not ready to go up and continue the progressions further. Spend more time here. One tip that can really help is making sure that you can squeeze your butt to drive your hips forward, and that'll help you open that crease more and may allow you to find that stretch easier. All right, so if you were able to find that stretch, and you feel like you've got a good position, we're ready to bring that leg up. So go ahead and walk your way up until you can lift your opposite leg up and plant it flat on the ground. But don't try to stand up and try to get your shoulders back as quick as you can. We're actually gonna stay low. We're gonna still continue to drive the hips forward and down. And that's why we have those props. So you can put your hands on the props and you can configure them in so many different ways to get the right level for you to continue to find that stretch in the front of the hip. And now from there, if you can maintain your spine position and your hip position, you can walk your way up, continuing to use those props until eventually you place your hands on that opposite knee and you can really start getting upright. And it's important to continue using the hands because the hands will actually help you keep your core contracted. You push into the object and reflexively these muscles on the front side of your body turn on, the ones that round your back. And potentially you can pull down and turn on your lat muscles. They also do the same thing. Okay, so hopefully you were able to follow along and find the level that you're at. Now, let's talk about the most common mistakes people make. And the first one is so obvious, and yet you would be surprised how often I have to coach people through this. And that's just that people really have no conception of if their back is rounded or not. So you have to have some way to check in with yourself. Use a mirror or record yourself from the side so that you can see what your spine is doing. I can't tell you how many times I've recorded myself doing something and I thought it looked one way, and then when I see it on video, it looks completely different. And we very rarely get to see our backs. So seeing this one from the side is really powerful. Mistake number 2 is holding your breath. Now, we talked about you need to keep those muscles on the front side contracted, right? We want to keep the roundness. But that doesn't mean that you clamp down so hard that you can't breathe. Breathing is such a huge component of stretching because it keeps your nervous system calm. We don't want your nervous system to freak out. We want it to think of this position that we're going into as safe. So having a calm breathing pattern into the belly, filling up the ribs is really important. And what you'll find is, especially in this stretch, you'll find that if you take big breaths and then force that exhale out, you'll actually deepen your stretch. It's like a ratcheting effect over time. And number 3, and this is one that is so common, is losing alignment. And there's a lot of different compensations people make in this stretch to try to avoid stretching the right muscles. So this is where seeing yourself from straight on can be really powerful. Again, a mirror or record yourself. But what we're looking for is a straight line, or at least as close to a straight line as we can get, from your foot to your knee to your hip, all the way up the spine. Some really common ones we see are a hip hike, where the opposite hip will want to ride up and you scrunch up the side, and then your hips kick over. If you're doing this, you may still be stretching something, but you're definitely not stretching your hip flexors and your quads in the way that we want to. You're probably stretching something more on the inside of your hip. If you're finding that you make that compensation, then obvious answer is to try to pull your hips back into place. But for some people, there may actually be some sort of limitation that prevents them from doing that. So you can elevate the knee of the leg you're stretching, and that can allow you to get your hips back under you, because sometimes it's the flexibility of the leg that's up that's preventing you from actually getting into a good stretch. So we elevate that knee, takes a little pressure off that opposite hip, and should allow you to get those hips back in alignment. So that's the most common compensation, but there's infinite numbers of ways that your body will contort to not stretch the right muscles. So if you just check in with yourself, make sure everything is aligned from the front, make sure everything is aligned from the side, you should be good to go. And the last mistake I see people make is not finding the right intensity to actually make lasting change. So if you can hold this stretch statically for over a minute, then you might not be stretching hard enough to make change. So what I like to have people do is go into the stretch, really push, contract for 5 to 10 seconds, and then maybe take a little rest where you're not putting as much energy in. You can take a break, catch your breath, and then go back in. And we can do that for reps. So reps for time. And in this way, we also have a metric that we can continue to progress. We can hold for longer times, or we can add more reps. All right, that is it. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, please like, comment, subscribe. Actually, if you have any questions, we love it when we see questions about the topics in the comment section. So please drop your questions in the comment section below. Check the description box for links, and who needs a gym?